Okay, we're ready to go again here at Redford Union High School. Happy to be here, having a good time today. Right now, I've been called into the principal's office a bunch of times at St. Agatha, but never got called into the superintendent's office. Jason Witt, good to meet you.
Nice meeting you as well.
So how's things going?
There's a lot of fantastic things going on in Redford Union schools. This careers fair today is just one of the few things that we're really doing around here that are going excellent.
Yeah, I can tell. I'll just say this: everybody who's jumped up on stage here, they're good people.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, a little story about that, just the people. We have a saying here in Redford Union, tradition rich and future focused. And crazy story from just a few weeks back in early March, I took a trip down to Florida to watch my youngest daughter who plays collegiate softball. And my wife and I checked into a hotel the first day we got there. And the weather was nice. We wanted to get a little bit of sun, so we went outside that afternoon, and I'm sitting there for like 2 or 3 minutes, and I hear somebody say Redford Union, and I'm a small group of some older individuals, older adults sitting there around a table.
What town?
And this was down in Lakeland, Florida.
Tiger Town.
So they were down there to catch some Tigers game, I found out, but I told my wife, I said, I believe they just said they're talking about Redford Union, and they actually mentioned St. Agatha as well, this group of people, and talking about both Redford Union and St. Agatha, and you could hear their little stories. And she looks at me and she goes, they're not talking about Redford Union, you're like hearing things. And so I got up and went over there, and lo and behold, this group of people who had the ties right here to the Redford Union community, whether it was St. Agatha or Redford Union schools, a large amount of the people at that table actually graduated from Redford Union High School. And that just tells you Redford Union alum are all over, and including amongst our staff, we have a lot of Redford Union graduates that have come back in various positions and capacities, and that really has helped us keep those traditions alive that are a big part of this community.
Yeah, that's awesome. I understand exactly what you're saying, because we had Justice DeSante on, Catholic Central's coach, on Halloween, and he's quite an individual, tied in with the Rogowskis in the baseball program, but they have 60 alumni that are on the staff coaching or involved at the high school. 60. And I know you guys got a bunch here too. Pretty much everybody I talked to here has been.
Yeah, we have those people throughout our staff, and again in various positions. And you bring up the Rogowski name. Ryan Rogowski is one of our behavior intervention coordinators right here at the high school, working with our students and giving back in that way and trying to direct them to make more positive decisions when young people sometimes are faced with some challenges.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, any help that way is great. And if you could give our viewers maybe a little background on yourself prior to becoming superintendent of Redford Union Schools.
Yes, I have a kind of a non-traditional background into the superintendency. I'm not a trained educator, like from a school standpoint. I didn't go immediately into education. I actually graduated from Wayne State with a degree in political science. And then after that, I went on to law school at Wayne State University. And my first job out of law school, once I moved on from the law school and passed the bar, was with a law firm out of Southfield, Michigan at the time. Right now it's based, same law firm still around. It's out of Farmington. But
who is it?
Collins Blaha is the name of the law firm. They had school district clients around the state. Their focus was education law. And I did immediately practiced education law, and I did primarily a lot of labor relations, a lot of collective bargaining on behalf of the school districts with the various union groups, and working closely with not only the boards of education and the superintendents in other districts, but also their HR administrators in those districts. And then from after practicing law in that capacity for 5+ years, one of the HR people said that my skill set would lend itself well to that HR role in a school district. So I got my start, jumped from the law firm where I was at. My first position directly with the school district was also right here in Wayne County in Allen Park Public Schools. And after a couple years in Allen Park, I moved on to the Troy School District for a long period of time there. 9+ years there in Troy schools in HR and labor relations as an assistant superintendent. And I spent a little bit of time in 5+ years in higher education at Oakland Community College after my time in Troy, and then ultimately made the transition here first as HR and labor relations here in Redford Union, jumped back into the K-12 school setting, and from there, we all lived through this thing called the pandemic. And during that period of time, our superintendent of schools, who brought me in here in HR and labor relations, she moved on to a different opportunity at the statewide level. And I then moved into the superintendency here in Redford Union.
That's you covered a lot there in a little time. And, I got to say this. Honestly, Jason, from the bottom of my heart, it's like with our politicians, if these people had to have a job and a career and do something with their life instead of being career politicians, I would assume it's the same way as a superintendent. You're at the top, the buck stops with you. The fact that you came from outside in and you had successes in other places, that's the way it should be. The people that come from the business world and understand more than just, you need a lot of things, and it's just a funny thing. I just, divert back and I'll say, in life you have dreams, and I made little Caesar's Pizza when I was 12, 13, but for a quarter an hour. Went over to Mamma Mia's in Grand River Beach, got up to $1 an hour. Ended up, going to school and this, that, and Wayne County Community College, who was here, went there for some dental school, and then had a dental lab in Orchard Lake and 12 Mile for 7 years. Then got into sales, selling pressure gauges and thermometers on 8 and Coolidge for Traris, and ultimately went from inside, outside, regional, national sales manager, come back, left there. That corporate world was difficult in a mid-management position. And then they came to me because I didn't burn a bridge, Jason. They came to me and said, "Hey, Ron, we need a rep." I said, "Fine, I'm rep, but I got a rep firm going. I'd love to have Traris." And Traris is a huge part. The biggest income I have right now is through H.O. Traris, about not burning bridges. And then, that was at 44 years old, becoming a manufacturer rep. And then at 66, opening Jessfor30, the podcast. So dreams and different things, experience life, man.
Yeah, and I mean, you hit it right on, and two things I would say as a follow-up to that is when I was first hired directly with the first school district I worked in, Allen Park Public Schools, I had a conversation. I had interviewed for some other jobs with school districts prior to that. I was a finalist a couple times for a couple different spots, didn't get it. So I actually, once I had my offer in hand from Allen Park, I talked to the superintendent, and I said, so I had been in these other positions before where I was a finalist, like what was it that you liked about me that pushed me across the finish line? And that particular superintendent had actually done human resources and labor relations himself before he moved into the superintendency. And he told me, I have enough educators around this school district that can tell me whatever I need to know and are happy to give me their opinions on anything instructional, anything we might be able to consider curriculum-wise. But he said, I like the fact that you came with a non-traditional background because you're part of my leadership team and we need other voices in the room. And so that speaks directly to what you were just talking about there. Sometimes we need to be willing to have other voices in the room. There are a ton of educators around any school district that will tell you anything you want to know about things they believe we should be doing in the classroom. But the other point that tracks with that, and I've shared this with my Board of Education, I've shared it a number of times with various groups. My biggest philosophy education-wise, and a lot of what my vision is for our district here in Redford Union, comes from my own experience as a parent of 3 children who within the last 3 years now graduated high school and have recently had that high school experience and that K-12 experience. A lot of what the questions I ask our other educators in this district come from my experiences as a parent and their experiences in the classroom. And I try to translate that and what experience did my kids have? How can we, where those things were positive, mirror some of those things here within Redford Union Schools, and where maybe I was frustrated as a parent or they were frustrated as students because their experience was really recent. What can we do to try to avoid our parents and our students from having some of those same experiences?
Your experience, Jason, going back to your days, I know you live in Troy, but you played football at Wayne State, and they got a Michigan coach there right now. Is it Tyrone Wheatley?
Yeah, Coach Wheatley.
Yeah. And you know who announces their games? He's been on this show. We've had 4 radio guys, Ed Kelly, JJ Jim Johnson, Jason Rathel, and I know who it is. Sean Belly.
Yeah, I've actually met Sean Belegian. It was years ago now, but I was actually down on campus because Wayne State did have a Division II equivalent to the Heisman Trophy, the Harlan Hill Award winner, that went on to play for a short stint in the NFL with both the Detroit Lions and the Chicago Bears, Joik Bell. And as an alum, I got invited down to a special event. I took my son down, who's a huge football fan, and we actually got to see the Harlan Hill Trophy. And Sean was at that event, and I know he's been calling Wayne State games now for a long period of time.
I use him as an advisor. He's awesome. We were at Darren McCarty's golf outing, and I was Jay Tower, I think, with him, on the podium, and it was cool. We got to golf with Lance Parrish and Jeff Wiskoff. Jeff was Michigan State NFL lineman, and we got Darren and dragged him over and got some nice pictures with all those guys. But Sean Belegian's a class act, and he's got a heart. Next door neighbor, a couple doors down, is Kwame Kilpatrick. He's out in Northville. But,
okay.
Sean's cool. He got a little time off here in the last year or so and spent some time. He told me he was happy to get out of it for a year or so because he now could go back to games and look at the games as a fan, where, when you got to do it as work. Because him and Lomas Brown did the Lions game for years.
Yes.
After the game, Sean's just one of the coolest guys. Him and Jason Rathel from 104.3 with Joanne Purton. They're really good, that morning show.
Yep. And I love my time down there at Wayne State. The opportunity to play college football at the Division II level and be part of that team. And now that I have a couple kids playing college sports now, we had these conversations too as they were considering whether to play. softball collegiately at the next level. And I told him it's more about like the team experience, and you're going to form some lifelong relationships from just having that opportunity. And I think the discipline and the lessons you learn in that team environment at the college level are easily transferable to life experiences and prepare you well for different obstacles you might face in your life. And that was a very valuable experience down there at Wayne State University.
So your college football playing days, tell me, we had Mark Messner on 2 nights ago, and we joked with him right at the end. I said, hey, Mark Messner, CC, Michigan, Los Angeles Rams, Mel Farr Jr.'s roommate with the Rams, but, 4-time All-American at Michigan, freshman through, started all the games, and College Football Hall of Fame. He's quite an individual. But your time at Wayne State, what was that like?
It was a good experience. The interesting thing you have to learn going into that environment, and I know we have had the opportunity the last few years to not only have success on the field as a team, but to also send a number of players on to the next level in both basketball and football. And the thing you have to learn is when you make that transition, you're going there and you're playing against grown men. And you learn that real fast as someone moving on from the high school level to, we had a couple players when I was at Wayne State in the early 90s, and it was fall of 92, I know, was my freshman year as a walk-on, actually. Started out as a walk-on and ended up earning a scholarship throughout my time there. But there were a few players we had on Wayne State's team that actually had gone to the military first, and then after their time in the military and their service there, decided to play Division II collegiate football at Wayne State University. And as a walk-on, you're the one that is doing a lot of work during the week to make sure everybody's ready to go on Saturdays. And I as an 18-year-old young man, was having to go up against 24-year-old grown men in practices oftentimes in that role. And you learn real quick that you not only, as good as you might have been in high school, that you need to take it all to a whole new level. And that pushes you as well. You definitely need to get in the weight room and do those things. And as much as our coaches prepare our young men here for those college experiences, those are lessons that you really have to learn yourself. And then you have to find your way to find your different role on the team after like that initial year. But it's a big learning curve.
Well, you've got a big job here. Are you superintendent of schools K through 12? And what are some of the proudest moments you've had so far, and maybe some challenges with the current K through 12 education in Michigan?
Yeah, as far as the biggest successes that we've had during my time here as superintendent, one of the main ones is our garnering the support of our community for a $59 million bond project that we just are on the completion end now in the space we're sitting in here now in our new Redford Union High School gymnasium is one of the spaces that was newly built as a result of that bond. But we've been able to transform our buildings. And then another big success that we've had is we've been able to just revamp our programming in a way that really focuses on engaging our students. So some examples of that is we have our early college program that was the host today for today's career fair that's wrapping up now. And that creates opportunities for students to start earning credits at no cost to them to set them up for a successful future in life. And then we've also, through a combination of our bond efforts and then just the hard work of different individuals within the district, been able to bring back career tech education opportunities for our students, because we realize that every student's future is not a path to a 4-year university and a degree. We also know full well in this blue-collar community that we live in Metro Detroit that there are a lot of fantastic opportunities for people who are willing to put in the time and the effort to build those skills in the skilled trades areas and other areas that will provide, in today's world, a really good living for those individuals if they put in that work. So we're really focused on how we can engage students and set them up for a successful future. Second part of your question there is one of the biggest challenges we still face as a district, and we're not unique in this, districts around the state, is we need more funding in education. We're funded on a per pupil basis within this state, and we receive about $9,000 to $10,000, somewhere in that range, to educate students on an annual basis. And while to some viewers maybe that sounds like a lot of dollars, when you realize the needs that today's students have, and some of them are unique with special needs, but if you just look at the needs of our general student here within the Redford Union schools, the cost of really meeting their educational needs far exceeds that current amount of funding we get from the state.
Well, I think a lot of the people out in the community will say, yeah, we understand that, but on the other hand, we feel like there's been a lot of waste, and I'm not saying Redford Union, we feel like there's been a lot of waste based on not that the money was spent, that the money was spent to have Michigan as one of the lowest rated for education in the whole country, and I don't know what that means. All I know is that I think people want maybe a bang for the buck. I don't think people mind spending the money. I think they just want to get what they pay for.
And that's an excellent point. We do need to do more as districts relative to certain outcomes, but one of the challenges we have is the outcomes that end up hitting the newspaper are a result of standardized testing that doesn't really measure the true growth that students are seeing in the classroom. And then there's some other interesting dynamics here that go into like our comparison here in the United States versus other nations. There's a variety of factors that impact this. I can tell you this, here in the United States, and including right here in Redford Union, we're required to test all our students when it comes to those standardized tests, and that obviously impacts our scores. And there are other nations throughout the world that even by the time students are entering junior high school, if certain students are on a path to maybe a career type, some of those same things we talked about, some of the skilled trades areas and things like that, there are other nations that actually will stop testing those particular students and end up only testing the brightest and best. So it is not always an apples to apples comparison when you look at those numbers. But
you mean people cheat?
Occasionally, but we also realize we need to do more to meet our students' needs, and that's another example of what we're working to do here. And I'll give you a great example of that. And again, this goes back to like my education philosophy. So I have three kids at home, graduated, as I said, over the last 3 or 4 years from high school. All three of them learn very differently. I only have one of my 3 children that can sit in a traditional classroom environment that most of the viewers must have had themselves, and sit in that classroom, listen to a teacher lecture, and for and then go home and do their homework, and that's the way they learn.
Understood.
And so what we're trying to do here is create some different opportunities for students to be able to demonstrate and learn those concepts through approaches such as project-based learning, and actually being able to demonstrate in other ways than writing a short essay or taking a multiple choice test, that they understand the material, trying to give more hands-on opportunities for today's learners, because a lot of them learn best by doing rather than just sitting in a classroom and listening. And that's for a variety of reasons, including all the technology. Like, the technological advancements in this world are fantastic, but I think any of us can admit they're also super distracting at times as well. And so in some respects, we've kind of pushed more on kids and actually shortened their attention spans, but sometimes we want to still try to make them sit in the desk for 30 minutes of a 50-minute class period and just listen to an educator at the front of the room. And what we're trying to do is trying to push our educators to change some things.
Well, we're in a TikTok world, and that's how these, kids from the time they're little. And I just wanted to say, we're kind of wrapping up time-wise. You just wrapped up $59 million capital bond project. Everything looks beautiful here, and that's got to be really feel rewarding to you to be involved in that, Jason.
Yes, it's been a great experience to transform the school buildings, and we've also done some programmatic changes. We've shifted some things around. The building we're in right now, while it does house our high school students and used to solely be Redford Union High School, it's now our secondary campus, and between the whole entire space has students now in grades 7 through 12 within this space. And we've really brought it to life, and how that materializes itself best is when we get retirees or alumni that come back into these halls here in this building and any of our other buildings now, and they see the transformation. They can't believe they're walking through the same place.
Hey, it's pickle time, so we do this at every show. Dig in. Do you like pickles? First is the question.
Yes.
Good. You got to rate it 1 to 10, Jason.
I would say that's definitely a 8.
8.
That's very good.
You like them?
Yeah.
Yeah. We get Easter Market. We make them.
Okay, that's outstanding.
Yeah. No. But anyway, good luck. You guys are doing fantastic, and thanks for having me. I appreciate you.
Yeah, we're very happy you could come out today and be part of this event and talk to some of our different staff members, and I wish you the very best.
Jason, thank you very much, and best of luck. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
All right.